Hello and welcome back to the channel. I went back and watched some of my previous installments in this series to try to get an idea of what exactly I do in these videos because it's been a while. I decided to do them every 6 weeks this season as opposed to every three because I figured that this season I was going to have a little bit less going on just given the tracks I had available, my schedule, kind of what I was getting through, what I was working through. So we're going to just kick off with the last half of the season here. This is weeks 7 through 12, so 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 6 weeks. You'll see a lot of podium finishes here, number of wins. Kind of lead off there. I ended a 16 win streak going back to week number 6 at Imola by running GT3 Regional Tour at Donington, finishing second. We'll get to that race later. Would have turned into 18 had I had not broken it at GT3 in Donington, but we did. So that was a 16 race win streak, my longest of my career that I'm aware of anyway. Good span of time there over a variety of different cars. Obviously, we had the M2 to kind of kick it off there. We had the Pro 2 Light a couple times in here, the Cross cars in here a couple times, Legends cars, Indy Next, my debut appearance in IMSA and the LMP2, the LMP2 period for that matter. We got a USF race in here, so we'll just get through these, kind of work our way through them one by one. So we'll start off with Advanced Pro 2 Light at Wild West. Lights the flag from the pole, had a good race with Derek DeRocco throughout this one. He was very, very much on the money here at Wild West. Not too much more to it. Had a solid battle at the front of the field here. That'll be the first of the 21 races that I ran to close out the season. And we'll move on to the next one. Cross car at Charlotte. I believe this is one of the first times I've won at Charlotte Rallycross, but had a battle with Ryan Turcotte, and I think this came down to Joker strategies. I took the Joker last, and that allowed me to get ahead of Ryan and stay ahead of him, and that ultimately led to me winning this race by around 0.4 of a second. Pretty straightforward. I've been enjoying the RX or the cross car a good bit on these RX tracks. Be nice to see maybe if they do an advanced series or something that opens up a couple more tracks, because obviously we only have the 3 or 4 or the 4 or 5 I think that are available for the free side of things with both Daytona layouts. You got Phoenix, you got Winton. I think there's probably one more in there that's slipping my mind. Charlotte. So you've got the 5. So yeah. But it's been fun. So another cross car win there. Then we moved on to Legends Road Cup at the Auto Club Interior course. If you've been tuned into the channel, I actually put up my onboard from this race. We kind of had a group of guys I've raced obviously a good bit on the IndyCar side of things. You see the likes of Anna Klemek, Ty Keela here. Jeffrey Stanton, who's obviously big in the sprint car community. I've raced him a number of times in the Indy Pro 2000. Brooks Wynot, I've seen him in a number of jumpy truck races. So it was a lot of guys that I've raced before. It's cool to get everybody together to run at Auto Club Interior. This was a debut for this layout in official series competition, so I went home as a winner in its debut appearance on iRacing that we know of, or that we can recall. I also surpassed 5,000 sports car iRating from this race, hit 5,002, sitting a little bit above that now. I want to say it's 5,092 now, give or take. So it was a good bit of fun getting this one out there. Obviously, if you watch that on board, it was a pretty straightforward race once kind of the opening lap came to a conclusion there, but Anna kept me honest the whole way through. Very difficult track to get around, especially with the potential for the cones to be knocked out of the way, as that's really the only thing that's guiding you around a lot of the corners on the front half of the track, to keep you away from those slowdown penalties that are pretty easy to pick up. But this was a good bit of fun. Definitely a highlight of kind of the back half of the season here in 2026 season 1. We'll then move on to my debut in IMSA LMP2, or the LMP2 in general. Qualified second. I don't have a ton of qualifying speed typically. You'll see Carl Sampson's in here, so shout out to Carl. Didn't have the race he wanted due to some technical gremlins that he was working through, but still managed to be fighting for the lead for a good portion of that race for him. But I ended up taking the win here in LMP2 over Rafael Blend. he kept me honest the whole way through. I was just able to get through traffic and be a bit more consistent over the course of the race. So made it through this one. This is my first win in the LMP2, so that's a new car as well as the track. I want to say, yeah, that this is going to be the first track pickup for this. Actually, wait a second. Goodness me. I'm skipping things. I'm skipping lots of things. Let's run this back real quick. So that's the IMSA race. We're going to jump back here to Indy next at Interlagos. This track was hot. Very, very hot. And I don't remember exactly who was fighting for the lead here. I want to say it was Samuel and Steven? Or Steve. Two cars were fighting for the lead late in the going. Coming through turn 3, I believe it's the left-hander leading out of the backstretch. They both collided on the inside of the track. I jumped to the outside and went by them. I basically had reeled my way back up to them following the opening lap because I started on the outside, which is fairly difficult here at Interlagos to navigate, especially with how hot and tricky it is to get this car through that opening sector. So I managed to sneak on the outside, just ran a cool, calm, collected race the rest of the way through. Beat out Robert Campus, who finished second here. We'll see his name a couple times in Indy Next competition for me. But win at Interlagos. This is the first track. This is the first track of the episode in week number 7. This was the one track I picked up during that week. And then we moved on to week 8. I forgot to highlight some other races we had going on here. We had Advanced Pro 2 Light at Crandon. 4-car field. I just got a race in and walked away from the rest of the field here. Not too much to say about it. It's Crandon. I believe that was going to be Crandon in its short configuration. So I believe that's the first time I've won on Crandon short. We'll verify that later on. Then we ran Legends Road Cup at Okayama. Or sorry, FIA Cross Car at Daytona. I believe I got lucky and the leaders came together at a point in time. And I managed to inherit the lead. They made contact with a lap car, and I inherited the lead. That's what it is. Sean Hayes was leading this race. Got collected by a lap car. I took the lead, and I believe Derek and one of the other cars behind me got collected in an incident on the back half of the track at a point in time. It was a very sloppy, very messy race here from Daytona, but another win in the cross car in its debut season was a good bit of fun. Obviously, I took a clock at some point, had to make my way through an incident myself, but that was that race. Then we move on to Legends Road Cup at Okayama. This was just an absolute cruiser from the front of the field. 15-second gap in a 15-minute race. It means I was about a second faster than everybody on the track each and every lap around here. You see my average lap time was around half a second faster than everybody in the field. I had something figured out here compared to the competition I had show up for this one, and that's that. It's another win at Okayama, and its full configuration was a good bit of fun, getting out there and having some fun in the Legends car, as it always is. Obviously, we went over that IMSA race. That's going to be the second track, along with the first new car we've picked up in a good while. We'll kind of show off those lists at the end of this video as well. Rookie Pro 2 Light at Wild West, Mason Mitchum. Shout out Mason. We went and ran Pro 2 Light again at Wild West. That's one of the fun things he likes to do, so I figured I'd come out there and rip with him. Beat out Troy Smith. Troy kept me honest. You know, he set the fastest lap of the race. Just wasn't quite consistent enough to really make the most of things here, but shout out to him. It was a good bit of fun getting out there and racing on the dirt. And then we're going to provide some context here. So my last official Oval Series start was this race right here on August 19th, 2025. IndyCar Fixed Series at Milwaukee. I also won over my teammate Kyle Clenworth for Rogue Racing, alongside the likes of Tristan Fortson, Dylan Moskowitz in the field, Turner Johnson, guys that I've raced on a number of occasions in the past. It was a pretty big win for me, obviously being one of my home tracks. Near and dear to me, I qualified on the pole, led lights to flag. Kyle was giving it all he could over the course of the race. Just ultimately wasn't able to reel me in time come the end of it. But that was the last time I had run an oval race. So keep in mind, I hadn't run an official oval race since August. And this race here took place in Oh, goodness. Uh, February. February 5th, my half birthday. Shout out to that. Legends Cup. Sorry, I'm so used to running the road series at the LA Coliseum. You'll see Indy Kirchenbauer here, the prodigy. He opted to join me for this one. Tyler Melton, believe, was a pretty solid driver in this field. I grabbed the pole, I locked in, I logged the laps, and I took it home. I believe I should have led every lap, but given how series with no caution laps counting works, the last lap car on the lead lap gets credited with the lap that triggers the yellow. So we had 2 yellows, so I didn't lead 2 laps because somebody else gets credit for those for whatever reason. But nonetheless, Legends at the LA Coliseum, so it's my first oval in quite a while. Actually, I would have to go back and look when the last oval, well, I guess it would have been Milwaukee because that would have been the last oval race I had run. So yeah, it had been quite a while since I had won on an oval. Definitely looking forward to doing a bit more of that, heading off through the rest of 2026 here as we'll kind of see. Definitely starting to rapidly run out of road courses to put my name in the history books of here on iRacing. Did another cross car race at Phoenix. I believe this one of the cars I believe here, I want to say was Logan Frazier, I believe, hit the jump and clocked it into the tire barrier. Yeah. So he hit the jump on the last lap. I made contact with the inside wall coming towards the jump, but he jumped the jump and shot straight into the tire barrier and crashed. I passed him, managed to limp my car around to win the race over Philip Morgan. I got very lucky in a number of these races to win them out, but that was quite the eventful one here in the cross cars at Phoenix. That's another win there. Advanced Pro 2 Light at Bark River, lights to flag from the pole. I made some contact with some of the berms around here. Michael Funk definitely kept me honest in the pace department. Obviously ran a faster lap than I did over points of the race. I just had the consistency. I pulled out the lead and was able to keep it up there throughout the race. Definitely need to get more comfortable at some of these tracks in the Pro 2 Light. Not sure if I'm going to run this one or run this series again. We'll get to that later on as well. But then we've got my lone USF 2000 appearance this season. A gang of guys convinced me to run the Mexico City Oval Stadium. I had planned to run one race because I've run at least one official USF race since 2022 season 1. So I'm going to continue that streak as long as I kind of can, even if it's for nothing else, but just saying I've done it. You'll see myself, Indy Kirchenbauer, Tequila, Kyle Clenworth, Casey Povolonis, amongst others, all out here in force. Indy was the faster driver. He just didn't have the patience early on the going, fell back, got stuck behind Tequila at a point in time, had to work his way by him. It was reeling me in. I just clicked off consistent laps, knew how many laps I had to play with, knew how many laps I had to get through, so that'll pick up that one. For me, this obviously I had already completed in the Legends series at the EV layout, but I won at a different layout here. So that's a new layout that I can add to my configuration tier list later on down the line. Then we move to Legends Road Cup at VIR Patriot. This one hadn't seen a ton of use as of recent. Casey Sprinkle got impatient with a lap car, clocked into the back of them heading down kind of towards the uphill section after the start-finish line. Lost a good bit of momentum, just wasn't able to recover and catch back to me. I ended up winning this race after starting in the third spot. Very tricky track, very technical, lots of skills being put to the test constantly around here. I mean, the lap times are 45 seconds, a little longer than that on the fast end. So, at 47.8, I'm just kind of rounding to quarters of minutes there. But good bit of fun. I'd highly recommend this combo to anybody who's just looking for something a bit different. If you maybe just want to hot lap something, it was great fun just logging laps here once you got familiar with what to do with the car around this place. And just another solid, tiny little kind of club track that we can race these Legends cars on. They feel very fitting. It's kind of another one of those go-kart-esque venues that I obviously enjoy a good bit as somebody who's done a good bit of that in the real world. So, yeah, another win in Legends Road Cup. Mark it down. It's a new layout as well. We'll get to that one later on in the video. Keep just tagging stuff onto the end. Then we move on to the Indy next at Fuji. Started on the pole for this one, just barely. Robert Kempis is back. He fell back off the start because I timed the start perfectly to where the pace car hit the pit lane just as I was passing it, getting up under green there. So that worked out for me. 2 cars spun coming through the final left-hander on the track on the first lap. Campus got locked up on the brakes and spun as well. Dropped him down a good bit. I just clicked off the cool, calm, collected laps that I needed to seal one in here from Fuji. No chicane. Should clarify. It was the no chicane layout here in Indy next competition. And that was all it took. So that's another new track here for that one. I believe that puts us into week number 10. As week 9, we didn't pick up anything new. Week 8 was Jerez and the LA Coliseum. Week 7 was Interlagos. So, and then our streak ends. I opted to try to run GT3 Regional Europe at Donington. Ran the Aston Martin. Came off the hairpin on the first lap and just on the throttle oversteered. Spun the car. Had to work my way past the 2 McLarens. Actually, I had to pass basically the whole field back once I recovered it. But I just need to put in more time, more work with these cars if I'm ever going to get good at them. We'll see. Kind of if I have to tackle the GT3s again anytime soon. We'll try to do better. Maybe figure out a different car. I had thought to maybe run the Mercedes, but I just felt like the Aston had something a bit more comfortable lap for lap for me. But I guess I bit my words and ended up finishing second in this race. Losing a little bit of IR, a little bit of SR. Nothing too shabby considering just how good my luck had been leading up until that point. And we'll get our luck right back as we move on to MX5s at Adelaide. Signed up for this one. Figured, heck it. What could possibly go wrong? Myself and Jackson Selwood were going absolutely at it lap after lap, banging doors, making passes all over the place. Great good bit of fun battling around the streets of Adelaide with him. Unfortunately, with a couple laps to go coming into the hairpin at the end of the backstretch, he blew the engine. I'm not sure if he's maybe still using an H pattern in here or what he exactly did, but he grenaded the engine. I went by him. Just same deal as Fuji. Clicked off the couple laps that I needed to towards the end of the race. I think Jamie was catching me a little bit towards the end. Not quite sure. Maybe how big the pace differential would have been had that been the case, but ultimately I ended up winning out this race, picking up a win at Adelaide. This was kind of my seasonal adventure into the Mazda MX-5 that I tend to do, and we'll get more into that later. And then we move on to Indy next at Mexico City. I qualified second here behind Robert Campus. Campus spun off the final corner, one of the opening couple laps. Ultimately wasn't able to make anything more of it. I just kind of sailed away from the rest of the field. Wound up picking up another win in Indy next competition. This is the 3rd different layout of Mexico City I picked up this season. Ultimately didn't need this one in particular for that challenge, but another new configuration never hurt. So that's another win in Indy next for me. Fun little track. I definitely would want to get more comfortable with it. I felt like there was a good bit more I could have pushed for had I maybe had a better idea of how to navigate, particularly the opening section of the track. I felt like that was kind of my weakest point. Obviously, the stadium section is very tricky as well, just given how you have to be very gradual on the throttle coming through the left-hander, kind of working your way through that chicane that leads you towards the stadium exit. But good fun. I've enjoyed my time at Mexico City. Not sure if I'll come back anytime soon, but we'll certainly keep it in the back of head in terms of a solid track to run at. Then I closed out the Legends Road Cup season by running Oschersleben C. Found the NASCAR guy, saw something, stacking things, Sean Conklin, Blake Bottoms, P. Frisch, Crawford, Falkingham, amongst others. Max Brady, I don't know. I've seen a number of these guys run this a couple times over the seasons gone by, but started 4th, finished 3rd. I kind of just existed past a certain point, just collect laps, stayed out of trouble. You see, I have the lowest incidence out of anybody in this race. So I certainly had something figured out on that front. I think the one off track I took was dodging a lap car getting collected by another car going off the track on the right through the chicane. That leads you onto kind of the back straightaway there here at Oschersleben C. This was a debut once again for this layout and officials as far as I'm aware. So it was cool to see this one get some good use out of it. Obviously something different, very tight technical track, a lot of very interesting corners, lap times a little over 30 some odd seconds. So, you know, always doing something around here. It's basically a short track, like a traditional oval short track. And we'll get to another one of those here in the Legends car once again. Week 12, the one race that I ran in week 12. Actually, this would have been the third and final race I ran in week 12. Myself, Indy Kirchenbauer, his teammate Micah Mixer for Votive Racing. We went and ran Legends at Slinger. Indy was faster the whole way through. I just knew that I had to get the pole and run the line around the bottom as best as I could, and he eventually got me up off the bottom the last couple laps there, but I held on just enough to pip him out at the line. 0.003 of a second, the margin of victory. You basically just grabbed the Nerf bar on the front of the car, and that's all it was. That got me this win, so that's another new track there to kind of recap the second half of the season here. Week 7, we picked up Indy next at Interlagos. That was a new track there. Week 8, we picked up the Dallara P217, the LMP2 at Jerez. That was both the car and the track. We also picked up Legends at the LA Coliseum. That was just the track there. We didn't pick up anything in week 9. Week 10, we picked up Indy next at Fuji. That was just the track there. That's Fuji no chicane. Week 11, we picked up Mazda MX-5s at the Adelaide Street Circuit. That's just the track. And then week 12, Legends at Slinger. So that puts us up to 6 tracks to close the season out. We picked up 7 in the first half. We'll recap those as well real quickly once I get the list up. So week 2, we picked up the Kia Optima at Belle Isle. That was just the track. Week 3, Ford Fiesta WRC at Phoenix 08. That was just the car. Dirt Street Stock at Port Royal. That was the track. Indy next at Miami, the International Autodrome Grand Prix. That was also in week 3. We picked up both of those at that time. That was my first Indy next win. Week 4, we picked up the Cross car at Phoenix 08. That was just the car, as well as Legends at Cadwell Park, the track. Week 5, we picked up Renault Clio at Zandvoort through PCC. That was just the track. Week 6, Legends at Mexico City EV Circuit. That was the track. And BMW M2 at Imola was just the track as well. If we go and look kind of real quickly at kind of how this season played out on the whole, if we look kind of a lot of wins here, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. I ran 62 races. To win 35 of them is absolutely bonkers. Regardless of the strength of fields, regardless of the circumstances. There were so many of these that I kind of just lucked my way into by, you know, doing the things that win races and being consistent, calm, collected, staying out of trouble, and working my way through that. If we looked at second places, you know, it's probably easier to find the races I didn't finish on the podium, and most of these were in the opening half of the season. You know, this Dirt UMP race, I didn't make it to the start-finish line. Cross car, just not fast at Charlotte. Indy next at Road America. I screwed up qualifying, still picked up 5 spots, made it to 4th across the line. Wrecking out at Sonoma in the Beetle Light due to a lap car. Not really anything I could do there. You know, cross car at Charlotte again, just not at speed. Alton Park. This was basically down to the line. If you look at the margin of victory, the margin between myself and third, guy pit me by 7 thousandths at the line. That's just the nature of these cars being on draft-centric tracks like that. So certainly nothing to sneeze at in terms of my results this season, and that'll kind of show in the end of season results that I had. But let's first take a look kind of, you know, here's that list in totality. So, you know, Belle Isle, Port Royal in the street stock, Miami, Indy next, Cadwell Park, full Legend, Zandvoort in the Clio, EV Circuit, Legends Road, Imola, Interlagos in the Indy next, Jerez Moto in the LMP2, LA Coliseum in the Legend, Fuji no chicane, Indy next, the Adelaide Street Circuit, in the MX5, and then lastly the Slinger Oval. If we look kind of at the new cars we picked up this season, it's just four: the Ford Fiesta WRC, the cross car, Dallara IL15, and the LMP2. If we look at configs, I need to actually add one more here. It should be Slinger. Oh wait, no, it's not. That's already over here. So in terms of stuff we picked up new from the last episode, I believe that's going to be Crane and Short, LA Coliseum Slinger, Auto Club Interior, Interlagos, Okayama Full, as I've only won on the short course before, Jerez Moto, Mexico City Oval Stadium, VIR Patriot, Fuji no chicane, Adelaide, and Hermanos Rodriguez. It's another 12 to add to the 23 total this season. Obviously not all new tracks, but some new configurations, some new takes on some old favorites as well. We'll get to ranking those in a different video at some point in time. I've got a lot of video ideas I need to actually write down instead of just voicing them in a video and not actually actioning on them. So let's just take a quick look. 21 races at the end of the season. I ran 42 to start the first 6 weeks. I was obviously running a lot more dirt road earlier on in the season. You saw kind of the drop off at the end of the season. We'll show that in the point standings. There's schedules. If we go into results, we'll start with Indy Next Road because that's still kind of my main focus personally. I finished 16th in points. My Adelaide race, actually, I don't know if I even highlighted the Adelaide race in Indy Next. Campus was here again. He struggled once more. Sergio Galistio was fast. He made a very, very decisive move heading into the backstretch hairpin with 2 to go. Made the pass on the inside on me coming in through. I just had nothing for him at that point. Putted around, finished second. I just needed to get a race in at Adelaide because I needed my 8th week. This was actually the only 9th race in Indy Next Road I ran the whole season. The only week I ran more than one was Miami, just to pick the track up because I knew I didn't want to have to stretch that one out any further than I needed to. But yeah, great battle with myself and Sergio. He kept me honest. Ultimately passed me. I think I led all but those last 2 laps because I was able to make it by, I believe, Jamie Arce was the pole sitter for this one. I managed to make the pass on him through the opening couple of corners following the chicane, kind of that opening, very tight twisting section. The opening portion of the lap kind of just got to the inside, committed to the first of the 2 right-handers before you get on the back straight, and that ultimately put me out in the lead. And I was able to kind of start walking away slowly, and then Sergio caught back to me and was able to make some moves. But yeah, that was kind of a highlight race. Made a friend out of it. Sergio, cool guy. So, and then we get on to actual results. So yeah, Sergio ended up beating me out in the point standings by 1 spot here. I don't remember the exact points margin. It's not particularly important. My hope was to get 900 points on the season, kind of average like 115 or whatever that ends up being. Fell a little short of that, but nonetheless, not a bad season at all. We picked up 3 wins, at least in terms of best points per week. I think we ultimately ended up picking up 4 wins across the season. That would be Miami, Interlagos, Fuji, and Mexico City. Put me 16th in points. I can't compete my own strength of field broadcast races, so to be on the front page in that series, regardless of the kind of the drop off in participation, was reassuring, to say the least, and to keep it relatively clean at that, kind of across the board in terms of staying out of trouble, not spinning, not crashing, keeping it on the track. 3 incidents the whole season. We had 2 at Road America, 1 at Miami. Not too much to complain about there. Legends Road Cup was this kind of the other focus series this season in terms of outright performance. Finished second in the points. Elliot Newberry absolutely clobbered me by like 200 points in the end of season standings, but ultimately I was able to hold on over Alan Lombardi, who I think scored 842 points. I had 844 going into the final week at Oschersleben. I just found the right field at the right time, picked up a sizable points haul to add on to my total, picked up 25 points there, 869. 6 wins on the season Would have had one race off the podium. Would have basically been a podium had I had about 7 thousandths of a second to spare coming to the line there at Alton Park. But picked up a lot of wins throughout the season. Obviously, we started off at Summit Point Jefferson Reverse. Picked up a win there. Cadwell Park, we picked up a win there. Mexico City EV, another win there. Auto Club Interior, win there. Okayama Full, we picked up the win there. VIR Patriot, we kind of backed into that one, but we still picked up the win there. And then Oschersleben C was a podium, but not a win. So 6 wins. That kind of counted towards that tally there. That's how I count these here as kind of the best of the weeks in terms of wins. You'll see I kind of stopped running the dirt road stuff after week 9. Wasn't ultimately super important to me where I finished in points for these necessarily. It would have been nice to maybe get a top 5 points finish in one of these. I got close in Advanced Pro 2 Lite. There's just too many guys that are really good. That car that kind of stack fields throughout the week. I'm able to pick that out. So 6 wins in the cross car, 6 incidents kind of throughout that week's counted span. Finished 46th in points, 11th in Division 2. I believe I'm going to get promoted to Div 1 after this season. I think the cutoff for these is still 3,500, and I think I'm just over that now. But yeah, not too shabby on the cross car front. If I come back to one of these, that might be the one I come back to for credit, rolling off into 2026 Season 2. Advanced Pro 2 Lite, finished 7th in points, won the Division 2 championship. It was all Div 1 guys ahead of me. So that felt pretty good that I was at least putting up decent numbers. Obviously, this isn't the most popular series in the world, but I felt like pretty much every time I rolled out there, you know, that Lucas Oil race I finished 2nd, I probably could have won. I could have probably won that Crandon race as well. So I could have had a perfect season. Had things played out a little bit differently for me, but certainly nothing to really kick and scream about at all, especially given the kind of the sizable win I had at Firebird over Miles Morris and the like. So very cool to see. If we kind of look at just kind of looking at 2026 Season 2, I'm going to pull this up, but look at my all-time bests here. So here's Legends Road, moves up to one of the higher positions on the list now. Advanced Pro 2 Lite falls here. We've got the FIA Cross Car here, and then Indy Next Road is here. So it's been cool. Picked up some sizable gains in the point standings. Obviously, I placed, I believe, 60th or so in the first season of Indy Next Road. I hadn't run full seasons of Cross Car or Pro 2 Lite, obviously, because Cross Car didn't exist until this season. And then Legends Road Cup, we moved from 5th to 2nd. Would be cool to see if I could maybe get a bid for the championship in Legends Road at some point, but I'm not going to, bang myself up over it, especially given just the disparity typically in the strength of fields between the Europeans and the North American side of things. Shout out to Elliott for his championship. It's been a long time coming. I don't know if he's won that one before. If he hasn't, all the sweeter, but it was a good bit of fun going through that one, and that'll do it for 2026 Season 1. And I think the best way to cap this off is to kind of talk about, we picked up 13 tracks this season. That was the goal. I'm clicking through too much stuff here. Right. Here's the list of tracks left. Obviously, we're getting St. Petersburg this season, and we are getting Barber. I guess we'll find out tomorrow or whenever the achievements get updated as to whether or not I need to win at Barber again. I am somewhat prepped for it, and I'll show that off pretty briefly. I think I'm just going to kind of combine things into this one video and do like a looking ahead thing here as well. But, we've got 19 ovals left. There wasn't any new ovals added for the coming season. If there's only one new track getting added, that's going to be 8 road courses. If Barber counts again, then it'll be 9. We've got Mugello, Zolder, Donington, Hockenheim, Misano, Silverstone, Willow Springs, St. Petersburg, and potentially Barber. And you can see Chicagoland, Darlington, Dover, Five Flags, Hickory, Irwindale, Kentucky, Las Vegas, Michigan, Myrtle Beach, Nashville, Super Speedway, New Smyrna, Phoenix, Pocono, Rockingham, Stafford, Talladega, Texas, and the Bull Ring. Obviously, we completed all the dirt ovals with Port Royal earlier this season. And then, let's just take a quick gander. Plan for next season is Indy Next Road and Legends Road Cup. We're going to kind of stick to that as the core of what I'm doing. I think if I'm going to do another series on top of this for credit, I'm probably just going to do cross car. Since the races are short, I don't tend to really give too much of a care about my rating on dirt road. It's just something fun to do. Maybe I do Pro 2 Light, Advanced Pro 2 Light again. But in either case, it'll probably be another dirt road series. Here to tag this out, I've got to get my all-time bests in this sheet just so I can take a better gander at them. But yeah, I have kind of my hunting list, if you will. I kind of had this sorted by rank, but I think the easier way to look at this is kind of what those two series are covering. So if Barber comes back, then Barber will be there. Otherwise, St. Pete, Silverstone, Mugello are the big ones. I planned on trying to tackle as many of the road courses as possible. I believe the only ones that I'm not going to be able to get to, the only one I don't really have a proper opportunity to get to is Misano. That's because it's only being run in IMSA Vintage in week number 11. Can't imagine it's going to be too easy to just get a regular old field for that. It's going to be stacked stuff that I'm not going to be all that competitive in. But yeah, definitely going to be looking towards ovals in the coming season. I'll probably just do a separate video outlining kind of more of this, but I figured it was worth at least a little bit of a preview here in this one. But yeah, stoked to have put together as good of a season as I had this season. Looking forward to 2026 season 2 with everything I got going on. If we kind of look at my schedule here, I've got in, my Indy Next Road slot, my moved slot for Legends Road Cup that we're moving up ahead of the Indy Next Oval Series broadcast, given kind of the whole broadcast shift due to the spring forward here. We'll be covering a Grand O'Reilly series, or O'Reilly car race in the AMA at Bristol during week 4. Obviously, we still got, 6 rounds of the Formula Super Series left to go. They'll round up their season in week 7 of 2026 season 2. So, yeah, that'll do it. I'm just kind of baffled at how my season kind of cracked up here. I wasn't expecting to have quite the success I did, especially with just how fortunate I've been in terms of my results. Obviously, I ran a lot more dirt road. I think I want to say over half my starts were dirt road races this season. It was fun. It was something I was looking forward to with this season with the cross car and the new track at Lucas Oil. To get back and do some dirt road and just have a little bit of fun jumping around. And that sort of thing. It reminded me how much fun that stuff can be when you just get out there and do it. I liked having kind of the lower pressure, no pressure kind of situations where I was able to just kind of click off laps, get things under control, and have a good time. And that's always kind of refreshing to have amongst a sea of all the ultra competitiveness you could find out here on iRacing. So appreciate everybody for watching. We will catch you in the next one. I think I'm just going to try to quickly bang out my season 2 plans video proper. Get that one uploaded alongside this one just to kind of look ahead as to what I'm doing. So thanks again, everybody. Last thing I'll note on is Indy Next broadcasts get moved an hour back. You can see these are listed in Central Time here, so it'll be 10 o'clock Eastern on Monday night and 9:30 Eastern on Tuesday night for Road and Oval, respectively. Should be a great season with the likes of St. Petersburg and Barber on the road side of things, opening things up. We'll have some new tracks on the oval side of things. Oswego, Five Flags in weeks 3 and 4. Darlington in week 6. The Mexico City Oval will be featured in week 8. Indianapolis, the Rectangle, will be featured in week 10. And those are all the new tracks for that series. I believe it's 5 in total. But yeah, should be fun. Hope everybody's looking forward to a great season of racing going forward and had a great 2026 season 1. And we will catch you next time wherever I find you. I got multiple things I've got to get through here. I've got that USF 2000 guide I've got to get through. I've got kind of the learning tracks guide I've got to get through. Might do that for St. Petersburg, actually, because that's going to be properly fresh. Like, I've literally never touched it ever. So that'll probably be the track I use for that, since I've got to get to the grindstone tomorrow night and record the track guide for the Indy Next Road Series. Goodbye, everybody.